Hi.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
It's the Ciiat gang. I'm Cheryl-Ann.
Michelle Winkle.
Lucille Prue.
And we have had some fun. Today we've been painting, but a little bit different than we normally do when we're at home in our own studio. So want to talk a little bit about what we've been up to?
Well, sure. The morning started off a bit rough because I never like spring forward, and who's kidding who? I like to sleep. So I thought, well, what better way to celebrate spring and losing an hour is to paint and make time stand still.
Yeah. So we decided we would paint mandalas because mandalas have been the same for centuries, and although now we might not be making them with sand or doing them with paint, we're still following a traditional ritualistic type of mandala and having a little bit fun meditating. So there wasn't a lot of talking between us. We were mainly in the painting mood. Do you want to show them yours?
Sure, I'd love to. Just very simple gouache and tempera materials on a nice solid piece of paper. And we ritually started in the outer ring, and then we moved gradually into the center. And I observed my own feeling states changing as we went from the outside ring into the center. And I got calmer and calmer over the course of the day, more relaxed and more contented with the colors I was choosing and the shapes, and it just kind of seemed to go more smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the interesting thing I discovered about mandalas, because I've seen them in a number of places, done in a number of ways, including colouring books, and I've not been that excited by them, but the process she took me through I found was so engaging that literally time just changed for me. It slowed down, it was powerful, and I think we didn't have to follow all the rules as it was, but Lucille, you took us through this process of outward in rather than in out. Can you tell us just a bit why you did that?
Well, the reason the original Tibetan mandala is done in out is because they're doing it with sand, and there's no way you could control it if you started out and going in. Okay, but this is a Jungian also concept that as we're doing the mandala, we're going through the different stages of life, through a rebirth, and then going in towards the self, towards the bliss, the inner self of each person. So although we start with a template and everyone follows the ritualistic directions that I give, no mandala is the same. So you can see both these mandalas were made with the same template, following the same rituals, and yet they're both totally different.
And I think when we came to an end, what we realized is that these might not even be the colors of our typical palette. It might not be my favorite colors, or the symbols, ones that I would normally use in my artwork when I'm producing artwork for other people to see. But because it was responsive to how I was feeling about those different phases of life, I had to just trust it and go with those colors that I wouldn't normally use, or see that bright blue ring that sort of bothers me a little. But upon reflection and the journaling part of that, I realized that was essential to stick with the feeling of it, go with the journaling, and no judgment on the artwork.
No, because it's the unconscious talking.
Yeah.
And through the color and through your hands, your hand motion, and looking at the color, because the color tells you what it needs. The mandala tells you what it needs. So the mandala is following your inner self, not your outer self. So,
and I really found that powerful when you asked us to think about the gates to our inner core, and then we did a playful activity here with letting the paint bleed. And then we developed our own internal guardians at our gates. And for me, that was incredibly moving. And I felt power in talking to my 4 guardians, having a conversation with them about how they're going to protect me and how they're going to protect my strong self.
Yeah, can I show them up close?
Absolutely.
So let's see if we can get these on the camera. You see those areas there, the 4. So the paint is actually quite thick there, and it was called puddle painting.
Puddle painting, that was fun, because I couldn't control what was coming out.
And I think that's an important difference between what we're always telling folks, is that the difference between therapeutic arts, art therapy, and painting for production, painting a product at the end, the difference really is allowing things to flow in a non-judgmental way, allowing time to just drift, whether we gained an hour of sunlight or lost an hour of sleep. While you have something else to add, I'm just going to read the comments there so we can catch in.
Oh, great. Something else to add would be that although we lost an hour of sleep, we gained hours of meditation, so that made up for the quiet hours, made up for the hour we would have been sleeping.
And the sense of calm I'm feeling now, let's just say, is not what I was feeling earlier today.
No.
I also just want to point out this phenomenal necklace that I see you're wearing here, Lucille.
Want to bring it up close?
Yeah. What is the? It's a mandala, and I can't help.
Well, it is a mandala, but it is also an Aztec calendar.
Aha. And mandalas have been around since
The beginning of time,
so
yes.
we see the mandala quality of that as
Yes.
well.
Thank you.
So we have Michelle Nuttall online, and she says, it's so happy to have come upon this Facebook Live. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your experience from Montreal. And we also have Cuthbert Noengi, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, please forgive me. It's tiny print for me to read, and it says beautiful painting.
Thank you, Cuthbert.
One of the things that I think would be nice to wrap up on is really looking at the change of season with this time change. Because not all over the world are you changing your times an hour to get an extra hour of sunlight. And there's actually been debate in our own area to change it. And it's not oftentimes we can change time. But what Mother Nature still has hold of are those changing seasons.
Yeah.
So how can we incorporate a changing season into some of that artwork along the lines of a mandala?
Well, I'd love to point out my garden, which I'm in love with because I spent quite a bit of time creating a peaceful, thriving spring garden in my mandala between my gate and my inner wall. And so for me, it's symbolic of rebirth. It's symbolic of watching my bulbs growing in my garden after quite a long and gray winter. So we have to just notice that in ourselves. We have to notice the rebirths when we're struggling with things. Notice that things will always change. Our feelings are going to shift, our emotions are going to shift, and we're going to be able to come out the other end
And,
resilient.
You know, although we hate and disapprove of losing 1 hour's sleep in the morning, we love the fact that for the rest of the summer, the sun will be out till around 10 o'clock at night.
That is true.
Yeah, we do appreciate that.
And maybe you're in a part of the world where that isn't quite so, or in a part of the world where you don't even understand the change in the season because it's hot and sunny all the time.
Yeah.
Wherever you are in the world, remember you can use mandala, you can use expressive artwork any time of year, any time of day, and it really does change how our mind thinks, changes how we breathe, and allows the time to slow down so we can catch up a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for those who
Go
joined.
and paint, everyone.
Yes, go be creative. Thanks for those of you who joined us online, right here live. And for if you've only just joined us, wait another minute or two and the recording will come up for you to watch from the beginning. So from all of us at Ciiat, Lucille Prue, Michelle Wincott and myself, Cheryl-Ann Webster, you've joined us at ciat.org and we're happy to talk to you there.